Thank you all for being here today. You start. Yes. Okay. Stand and sing, "Let There Be Peace on Earth." Thank you all. You can be seated. And thank you, Creator Source, for bringing us all together. And as we come together, we open our hearts in gratitude for the space and this opportunity for friendship and our connection to Spirit. And with this, we say thank you. And our statement of intention. We are fortunate to have a variety of speakers for Sunday services. By using guest speakers, we gain wisdom from all those who share. This is a church where we can worship the God of our own understanding, a place to experience joy and be uplifted, a place where we can gain strength and inspiration to share with all we meet throughout the coming week. We invite you all to join us in this celebration of life, to nourish your spirit, and to enjoy the company of kindred spirits. Let's take that in just a moment. I welcome you all to our service today, Lake Superior Interfaith Community Church. We've been here in some form or another in various places in Duluth since 1913. We are a sturdy little church, and we are glad to be in this renewal together. We are led by a board of trustees. My name is Carolyn Sheets, and I'm the board of trustees president, and I work with a team of 7 amazing other people. And we are very grateful to lead you, and yet we are learning about participatory, collaboratory, flat systems, equal servant leadership. Servant leadership as defined by Gary Bollhauer, who has been with us for many, many talks as he proceeds to leave this week to move to Madison area. He will be back. He will be back in this church. However, it was he and I who spoke briefly about servant leadership on his last talk here. And he said, when I was describing participatory leadership and collaborative systems that we're learning to do, he said that's servant leadership. So that's a keeper, servant leadership. We all hear it, and this is one way we're incorporating it into our lives. Now, I want to do brief announcements. The Sunday in 2 weeks is Easter Sunday, and we plan to have an Easter dinner potluck, like we did at Christmas, like we did at New Year's, at Thanksgiving. And so feel free to bring your friends, your family, and we will have whoever wants a place to be on Easter dinner time together right here at this church. And I also want to tell you that next week our speaker is what we call our monthly Connection with Spirit Sunday. And we will have Barbara with us for channeling our partners in spirit. And we have planned, because Emily, the medium who's been working with us, cannot be here next Sunday, we have planned that we will leave extra time for the connection to spirit through Barbara for Q&A. So this week you can be thinking, if there's a question, we won't all get a chance, but bring a question. Our intentions will rise to find the ones that need to be answered that you would like to ask our partners in spirit. With that, let's have another song. And it's Morning Has Broken. Number 6. Please stand for number 6. We love this song. We should sing this every week. Morning has broken. We go. Seated, please. And we will find our cards, people. The laminated card and the half-page card. And we will stand again to read these principles together and the church affirmation. We begin with the principles. We believe God is the eternal source and creator of all and is present in everything. Our eternal soul, endowed with free will, grows through many lifetimes. Communication occurs between the spiritual and physical worlds. Strengthen our connection to the divine. All healing comes from Source. Seeking this for ourselves and compassion for others' suffering is the highest priority. Because we are all one, what we do unto others, we do unto ourselves. The Church of Love is always open for every soul. Using these principles leads us to grow in divine love. Thank you. Church affirmation on the bottom of one of the sides. We say, the belief that God is in charge of the affairs and direction of Lake Superior Interfaith Community Church. We know that as our thoughts of trust and joyful anticipation join in harmony with the thoughts of all members of this fellowship, we attract the right ministerial leadership to our spiritual community. We are grateful. Yes, we will have those new words when we have our new version. Yes, we do. We love it. And I omitted the fact that we have a speaker today. And it's Steve Plasa, our own Steve Plasa, doing part 2 of what he launched into last week, which was profoundly incredible, exciting about the changes happening in the world in a brief way. And I want to read his well-written short bio. Steve Plasa, avid reader, spiritual seeker, and 2-time past church president, is interested in piecing together the current and age-old challenge of purpose here on earth. Nothing less than purpose here on earth. Okay, that's pretty big. Lifelong student searching to understand the bigger picture, sharing truth as it resonates from science to spirit. So thank you, Steve. We will be looking forward to your talk. And now, my friends, we actually have the blessing of having a song from Michael. Michael's going to sing something that he and Steve have worked out, which is the prerogative of all of our speakers to see if they want to have Michael sing. So there you are.
Thanks for the opportunity, Steve. I explained to Steve what I was doing here, so I feel I need to explain it to you too, okay? I wanted to do a couple of things. First of all, I wanted to channel my own Irish tenor since today is St. Patrick's Day. And the second thing I wanted to do is to couple this song with Steve's message on the significance of intuition in our lives. And if you interpret this song from my perspective, that's exactly what he or she is talking about, okay? I changed a couple of words, okay? At the very end, what I changed is, because I followed the path of my own inner eye, okay? So with that in mind, this context, and you're welcome to sing it along with me when we get to that point, okay? On the day I was born, said me father, said he, I've an elegant legacy waiting for ye. 'Tis a rhyme for your lips and a song for your heart, to sing it whenever your world falls apart. Look, look, look to the rainbow. Recognize that? Follow it over your hills and streams. Look, look, look to the rainbow. Follow the fellow or gal who follows the dream. 'Twas a sumptuous gift to bequeath to a child. Oh, the lure of that song kept me feet running wild. For you never grow old and you never stand still, with whippoorwills singing beyond the next hill. Look, look, look to the rainbow. Follow it over the hills and streams. Look, look, look to the rainbow. Follow the fellow or gal who follows the dream. So I bundled me heart and I roamed the world free, from the east with the lark to the west with the sea. Yes, I roamed all the earth and I scanned all the skies, 'cause I followed the path of my own inner eye. Brilliant, right? Look, look, look to the rainbow. Follow it over the hills and streams. Look, look, look to the rainbow. Follow the fellow or gal that follows the dream. Follow the fellow or gal. Follow the fellow or gal. Follow the fellow or gal who follows the dream.
That was awesome, Michael. Thank you. And now, my friends, we turn to our healing bowl and to our prayers for each other. And I wonder if there are any prayers besides the ones in our bowl that are always available. This bowl is always alive to put a prayer in through our heart and intention. However, are there any prayers that someone would like to bring to the service today? Be on camera here. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome.
Good morning. Well, Sue Brewer's sister Molly, who is quite a gal, but has quite a challenge. She's making her way through. But all prayers and good wishes are always welcome for her treatment of cancer. Sarah Paginen, the musician who's got her own cancer struggle. Denise Jackson's grandson, Jackson, is doing pretty well, or is doing very well. So continue to keep him in your thoughts and prayers because of his accident last Saturday, or a week ago Saturday. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Jackson and Sarah and Molly. Anybody else? Then I would call us, as always, to pray for Mother Earth, pray for Gaia, pray for humanity in its great awakening, pray for how we are each learning to hold love and setting our intention to hold love all day long, whenever we catch ourselves not coming back to love. I'm more moved than ever from things I've been listening to of the power of our intention and the power of our intention to be inclusive, so we can ask for our own capacity to keep our resonance high, and ask as well, have the intention that our reaching with our resonance rises for the whole cosmos. That can be a very powerful way of setting intentions. And with that, my friends, we will sing In the Silence. On page 74. Now, my friends, we will pray, have silent time, and then Steve will step forward and he will carry the service from here. Blessed be. Amen.
Good morning. to a brief meditation as long as we're still close to that state. So close your eyes, take some deep breaths. Give us a little music, Andrew. And I offer this prayer to guide you. Creator, testing. Creator, surround us with your light. And all of those names in the prayer bowl. Enfold us with your love. Protect us with your power. Watch over us wherever we are. For you are always with us. Keep taking deep breaths. All right, please start to come back. I want to begin with a quote from the getwisdom.com site from a question. Question about a quote by C.S. Lewis, who said, "We may ignore, but we can nowhere evade the presence of God. The world is crowded with him. He walks everywhere incognito." And the answer that Creator made a comment on was that, and this is Creator's voice or words, we are always present. And here again, the deeper meaning of this quote is not only that we are within you and within your heart, as referenced in the scriptures, but because you are extensions of our consciousness, in actuality, you have God around you always, as well as being that you are constituted, what you are constituted of personally. The human family is nothing more than our energy launched in a certain configuration to create a series of seemingly separate entities with their own personal makeup, personality, preferences, agendas, and destinies. But this looks more chaotic and more disconnected and disparate than the reality. That is simply because your consciousness is unaware of the deep interconnections among all of you and with us. The unfortunate dilemma is that with the encroachment and corruption from darkness, many have lost their way. Many are asleep, unaware of their heritage and their true purpose. As I went into a bit last time, we have 5 different levels to our mind. And to help you, I printed out a little diagram that I came up with as I was going through this material. So you can see under the mind the different concentric circles and boxes. And again, I'll review. We have, at a very, very basic level, a cellular consciousness that is the template for our body. And then we have a deep subconscious, which we are unable to make contact with at all. It can't talk to us and we can't talk to it. And this was due to manipulation of our DNA. The next level up is the upper subconscious, which is more or less our handmaiden. It responds to what the conscious mind asks for or looks to do. And then, of course, consciousness. And then, of course, beyond all of that, still a part of us, still very much us, is our higher self. But that is in the realm of the divine, in the realm of spirit. And so the connection that it has to us can be very subtle because it's an intuitive link that, again, tries to go through the deep subconscious, but because of that manipulation, that editing that was done, we don't have full access. So it's very, very weak voice that we can hear if we pay attention. So those are the 5 main parts as I went through last time. And this time I'm going to talk a little bit more about what else exists outside of that. If you think of the mind as consciousness, really, it's a whole different level of our reality. You know, we're in a body trying to express ourselves from spiritual essence, and yet we have to deal with this 3-dimensional realm. And to do that, we were created in a very specific fashion, but we were also interfered with. So we have multiple and separate levels of the mind, each with its own resident beliefs and expectations accordingly, and all are connected to the body in a way that will produce emotions in reaction to what is being perceived. So the thing about, I had mentioned about the deep subconscious, it still knows what's going on in us. It just can't talk to us about it. And all the other parts are also aware of ourselves. Unfortunately, we are not. So having just one level that's conscious to that extent can't manage to do everything, nor can it protect the other levels that it's not aware of. And the other factor is that the one level of the mind can harbor beliefs that the other levels don't have. So think of each other level as being a function that is dedicated to self-preservation. Its purpose here, as you're put into the physical, is to keep you alive. And their thoughts, the thoughts of these other parts of yourself, focus on things that we don't pay as much attention to. So you know that your subconscious is aware of what's going on around you and can often bring you a reminder that you said you were going to do this, or this memory comes back at a specific time. It's looking out for you, but it also pays attention to what's going on around you. And so these things are prepped to look for dangers to yourself. And some of those dangers, instincts, are automatic reactions to get your hand out of the fire, etc. but a lot of them are happening at a level that we don't know about, so we don't understand what they're perceiving. We don't understand what the main concerns are of these deeper levels of the subconscious. So they do come up with beliefs about what's good for us, what's, that they're us too, in a sense. And they're trying to preserve us. So they look at what's around them, and the deep self, being very psychic or intuitive, is perceiving much more than we do, because it's able to look into the other areas of consciousness. So it can have an idea that we are in danger because it recognizes things that it knows from past experiences. It has access to the Akashic records. It has access to what's called a collective unconscious, which are the thoughts of the majority of humans that are persistent thoughts that are repetitive. So it knows kind of what's happening, in a sense. In fact, if you get into a situation where you walk into a room with strangers, your mind can actually tap into their thought plane, their weather system around them, which is what's on their mind. And you can actually perceive that, that's favorable or not favorable. So these things are not unknown. They just don't have the words and the understanding to express how they're put together in us. And now, because some of these beliefs might be different than what we consciously express, there can be a little battle going on internally. And our subconscious can struggle to let us know that it thinks this way about something. And the only thing it has access to is emotions. It can create, in fact, it's the major producer of emotions in your system. So it can actually affect the body and give you this anxiety or this worry or concern about something. You can say, oh, that doesn't feel good. So those things are happening at a level you're not conscious of, but they do come into awareness as emotions and feelings. So it's important to know about this, because this effect of us being divided, in a sense, and not being aware of these parts of ourselves makes it very difficult for us to become an integrated whole and to choose things that are beneficial for our journey in this life and beyond. So, let's see, those are the 5 levels. You can see them on the picture. I've put in the intuitive gateway as a diamond shape, which is located in the deep subconscious. And that is the remnant of what our connection to the intuitive and divine realm is all about. So right now, that deep self has access, but it can't share that. It can, the higher self can talk to the deep self all day long. They can go back and forth, have great conversation, but unfortunately it's lost to us. The higher self can only send these very weak intuitive messages up to the conscious self. But the deep subconscious can use that intuitive gateway to go out to these other areas, like I mentioned, the collective unconscious and the Akashic records. So let me tell you a little bit more about that area. All of this centers around consciousness, and the intrinsic aspect of consciousness, all that energy, is the ability to have a focus. And the focus of consciousness is an intention. It's a desire to create a specific agenda or to launch an idea. So these thoughts are what we do. And that's what consciousness is about. But thoughts are things. They have an energy that persists. And if you repeat a thought, it gets stronger and lasts longer. If you have a thought and you say, I don't think so, I don't really want to dwell on that, put it away, it fades away. So we have a working area of our consciousness called the thought plane, which kind of collects, funnels these thoughts into a certain area for ourselves so that they're readily available. And if we think about them a lot, then they're there for us. And they can be called to mind. And if we decide that we don't want to think about them, we just let them go and they just fade away. And that's kind of how the consciousness works. It's sort of a short-term repository for the working consciousness. And so whenever we dwell on something over and over, these thoughts are there, they're ready for us. And it actually will take the thoughts of the upper subconscious and the cellular consciousness as well. So we can refer in a sense to them, and we don't know they're thinking them, but they'll be there, they'll have more impact for us. So there's this way station, and then as these thoughts are dwelt upon or magnified through thinking about them more and more, or trying to get to some answer or trying to draw that information out, the thoughts get promoted to the collective unconscious. And this is a consciousness that all humans can tap into. And that's where thoughts are that are very common, are thought about by more than one person maybe, or even just very intensively thought about by one person. And they are also able to be shared. And if you've heard of the idea of different inventions being thought of simultaneously across the world, that's how that's possible. Someone who's looking for an answer about something, putting those thoughts out there, can be attracted to that same thought that someone else had and share that information. It all happens on a subconscious level, but that's how thoughts are organized. So it's kind of a way that the system, nature, spirit funnels thoughts to have an effect, to work for us. And eventually, when we become more intuitive beings, we'll have much more to do with that collective unconscious area. Right now, it's not as easy to access unless your intuitive abilities are much stronger. But the drawback in the collective unconscious is that it also can take negative thoughts. There's no filter on it. So if someone decides that thought is something they can't let go of and they keep dwelling on that negative thought, it will also get promoted to that area and other beings will share that. So that's one area. And then you also have the Akashic records. See, thoughts are unique in a way. They carry a signature of who had them and what the intent of that thought was. And that's what allows karma to track the disturbance to the force, the balance that we have in the universe. So each intention, good or bad, is recorded by karma so that the balance can be maintained. And this is how it's drawn back to you. As the originator of a thought or an intention, these things are then your responsibility. And if you want to heal something that you've done that you don't feel was right, you can put that thought out there. You can, it's the basis of our effect here on this plane and the rest of the universe, but we're just separated in time from the effect of it. So like we do something, we have some action, we take some action, and the results of that, if it's something that we do in the physical, they're fairly immediate. But if it's something that we do to someone and they don't know, there's no immediate response. Karma takes that in hand and eventually returns it to the person that originated that, so that the balance of what they did can be rebalanced by that person. So these records exist for all of us, for all of our lives, and they're maintained. And they can be healed, but that takes a special work. So even when something is done to you that you did not ask for, think of natural forces, events that happen, that still creates an imbalance in your karma. So even though you were the victim in that sense, something was done to you without your intending it yourself, it still has an effect on you. And that also needs healing. So that's trauma that we take in. So that's a little bit about thoughts and beliefs and those other areas outside of ourselves. There's a lot of interaction in consciousness, and a lot of things are shared. So it's not as cut and dried as it sounds, but this is how we work. Now, memory also is an element of this. Think of the mind and memory as more functions than actual divisions or physical locations. That's what, when I said karma records these things, consciousness also records all of the events in our lives. And sometimes those are experienced by the body physically, by injury or trauma, and that can cause the cellular consciousness to hold that memory, but especially it will hold the emotional effects of that particular incident. Now, other things that are more of the, I would say, the rational memory, the facts, those are stored more in a different area of the mind, perhaps subconscious, because it does a lot of work with those things, and so it can retrieve those memories for us. But the brain is really just the receiver. And so when they find things respond to their manipulation of the brain, it's like sticking a screwdriver into your television set and finding out that it doesn't work anymore. They can mess around and they can cause things to happen, but it's not the source of the signal. Let's go on. So something that came to me more as I delved into this and why I wanted to learn about it, you start to get the picture that intuition, which we normally think of as something very rare or small, is hard for us to grasp, right? But from what I've read, it's that on the other side, in the spiritual realm, intuition is the main sense that you have. You don't have a body. You don't have five senses. You have intuition as a force that is much, much stronger than we're thinking of it here. You use it all the time, and you can go out and access what you need to know and bring that back to you and have this instant knowing of what's involved. You can reach out to other spirits, other beings, other sources, and connect with them. So we're not used to thinking about intuition as a guiding sense, but that's what we left behind when we came here. And when we die, that's what we go back to. The trouble is, while we're here, we've learned to put our thoughts together into words in this physical body and then linearly express them and think them. And that's not a function of intuition. That's a function of what we've learned here, how to communicate, and those meanings and things that we use are very, very different than an intuitive experience. Now, intuitive, we know, can be things that are images, things that are sounds. We're using our five senses to grasp an intuition, and we could use a particular sense, if that's what we're accustomed to to take that intuition and say, okay, I can interpret it this way, but it's still an interpretation. It's like having to figure out what that picture represents, what that word stands for, what that feeling or that nudge, what that means. It's not as cut and dried as an intuition, because if you use intuition purely, you can know the whole thing about that in an instant and not have a question. So using that sense, and this is one thing that I found out, when you die, you still have this division until you're gone up to the light, shall we call it. You're in the earth plane, you're in the lower astral, and you have what you had on earth. You have those thoughts, that orientation that you had on earth, but you don't have the memories the way you did, because you no longer have a body to link you to the memories that you were thinking about. So the intuition is one that would be useful there, but we're not used to using it. And so we get there and we don't have any perception. It's just dark because we don't have the senses that we're used to. And yet the only thing we can do is think. So what do we think about? What do we think about before? The same thoughts tend to come up again and again. Now, if we've made an effort here in this life to think a certain way, that's coming with us. And I think that's why this is so important to talk about prayer and how we reach out to God, to Spirit, because if we make an effort to do that now, if we have those beliefs already within us, then we go over to the other side, it becomes much easier to ascend and to go into that light. If you have no concept of God, if you are an atheist and you don't believe in God, God's not going to say, oh, wake up, get with it. It's like, you made that choice. That's why we're here, to learn. You have free will. You get on the other side and you're kind of stuck. It's like, you don't think about the light. You don't think there's anything else out there. You're always taught that it's the end. So there's nothing going forward. It's from what Carl the channeler said when he learned about this, it's like a fully, at least 2/3 of those that die aren't bringing that consciousness with them of God, of Spirit. And they're in limbo. You've heard of that term. Well, that's where they stay until they're helped. And the only help they can get is from the earth plane, because they're still in the earth system. Even though they're dead, they're in the lower astral. That's part of this system. So it's up to those that are thinking of them to offer prayers for them to help them move on. And that's important. So we think that we have this mind, and that's our mind, right? We think that it's all ours. We're having all the thoughts. We're doing all those things. Those beliefs are ours. And yet we're finding out that because there's more to consciousness than we're aware of, there are other influences on our mind than that. And briefly, I'll go over, we've talked a little bit about it. So we know that we're disconnected from our deep self, and it has an effect on us in terms of all that it can see and all that it can make us feel. So it's kind of a starting point, but there are influences there that we're unaware of, and it can only tell through our emotions. And it does a lot of worrying about our past lives and what's coming at us. So it has its own things to deal with, but it's not the kind of consciousness that's going to invent a way to deal with those. It's going to just warn you. It's going to try to help you, but it can't make decisions like that. We still are the decision maker in our conscious mind. So that's one area with a couple of different focuses. Then there's the higher realms, where our higher self resides. And those areas and our guardians and angels and God, I mean, those are the beings that have the ability to influence us, but because we're given the power here on earth to choose, that will not happen without us asking for it. So again, that's why it's so important. Higher self is also the seat of conscience that tells you when you're doing something wrong, when you feel like that was maybe a bad move. Conscience is not available to everyone because in our growth, if we have chosen to step away from a belief in God for a long enough period of time, we no longer accept that that is a reality. When belief is based on perception, and we choose a belief, it also influences our perception. So by saying that there is no God, then there is no opportunity to even be warned about something like that, because it's not allowed. These are the rules of the other side that God put in place for us to be free and grow and learn here. But some beings don't have that sense of conscience because they've been cut off from their higher selves because of their emphasis on, oh, there's nothing to that. And then we have the outer other beings that are corrupted. So if you think that corruption is just a one-time thing, it's not. And then what I mean by corruption is embracing the darkness, going after things that hurt other people or for your own power, your own benefit, using other people. Those things also stay with you. And those beings that have done it for many, many, many lifetimes have a really hard time coming back to believing in God because they don't think there's any other way to live. So those beings, some of them are physical, like extraterrestrials. Some of them are, of course, human. Some of them are spirits, like I said, in the astral plane. And the main source of problem is the fallen angels. Those that are no longer angels have been kicked out, more or less disconnected from heaven because they chose a different direction. And as they continued to go in that direction, they got further and further away from God, and the earth is still a plane where they can exist. And it's still a plane where they can actually get some form of life energy because they're cut off from the source of energy. They're cut off from God because of their choices. So the only energy they have available is other spirits, other beings, other life. And so using their energies to corrupt our thinking to help us to do something that they would enjoy, which I wouldn't say enjoy, it's more like by creating a negative situation or energy around something, they can feed off of that. So these are things we're not really told anything about, but if you remember Jesus' healing in the Bible, it was at least 6 or 7 times in all of his miracles that he was dealing with spirits that had to be removed from bodies. They were attached to people and they were causing health issues, assorted issues with the body, but that is real. That is a sense that we're not told about. And to me, it explains a lot. It explains a lot about mass shootings. It explains a lot about all of the things that happen in our world that we don't understand why they happen. But if you're listening to a voice that only you can hear and making a choice because you think that's you telling you to do this, you can see how this could be very confusing. And then to get off on that path and find that you're going in a direction that you really didn't intend, but because you started following it, now it's getting harder and harder to turn around. So again, that's why prayer for others is really helpful. And I think I'm gonna have to stop there. I think that's as far as I can go today. There's so much to talk about. I'm sorry, it's the best that I can do right now, but thank you for listening.
Thank you, Steve. That was so deep. Now we need a whole hour of Q&A. But instead, we will have our offering, people. Please bring your version of your time, treasure, and talent to our church. And Jerry, okay, come on up here. Come on up. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you. Thank you, Denise. Good to see you. Oh, let's get the microphone. Here you go, my man. Here, I'll hold this.
And so our prayer now is a thanksgiving from each of us to everyone who is here with us today. A thanksgiving of the universe of light, compassion, love, peace, and joy, which we're all part of. And we're all together with each other right now. And that light and love and peace and joy says, enjoy the spirit that you are. You are a spirit of the universe, which is here with each other. And we share light, compassion, love, peace, and joy within our heart and our spirit. Amen, amen, amen.
Thank you, Jerry, so much.
You are so good. Thank you.
And thank you all. And we will now join in our benediction here as I bring it, and we'll join in our circle. So I say, Creator Source, thank you for the deep information and the capacity to grow and learn that we are gifted with, and in this Church of Light. May we all go into this week blessed and open-hearted and conscious of our thoughts as well as we can, and asking and intending for support in doing that from the Great Spirit. Amen. We join. And bring your card for the words if you want to use it. Wow. Again, you did. I remember.